Hi, have you subscribed to our channel? Please kindly subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button below to help our channel grow. Hope you enjoy this story. Thank you and God bless you.
Clinton lay in the hospital bed, the weight of his guilt pressing down on him like an iron chain. The moment he saw Nellie enter the room, her eyes filled with a mix of worry and disappointment, his resolve broke. He couldn't keep lying. He had nearly lost his life chasing a fantasy. And now, the truth needed to come out. "Nellie," he whispered, his voice hoarse from exhaustion and regret. "I need to tell you something." She pulled a chair beside his bed, hesitating before taking his hand. "I'm listening." Tears welled up in Clinton's eyes. "I was wrong. I betrayed you, Nellie. I let Sandra into my life in a way I never should have. It started off as friendship, but I let it turn into something more. I wasn't thinking. I let my frustrations blind me." Nellie's lips trembled as she absorbed his words. Her grip on his hand loosened. You had an affair?" Clinton nodded, shame burning in his chest. "I didn't sleep with her, but I let her take up space in my heart. I let her make me believe you were the problem when all along, she was manipulating me. I'm so sorry, Nellie." For a moment, Nellie said nothing. The room was eerily silent except for the beeping of the heart monitor. Then, she closed her eyes and exhaled shakily. "I don't know how to process this, Clinton." "I understand," he murmured. "I don't expect you to forgive me right away. I just want you to know that I am done with her. I want to fix what I broke. If you'll let me." Nellie stood up and turned away, crossing her arms tightly. "We need help, Clinton. This isn't something we can fix on our own." When Clinton was discharged from the hospital, they went to see the pastor for counseling. They knew they needed help to fix their marriage. Nellie said to him, "Pastor, please, we need to speak with you." The pastor nodded and motioned for them to sit down. "Of course. Bro Clinton, I'm glad you're back from the hospital. The church was praying for you. What's on your mind?" Clinton took a deep breath. "I betrayed my wife, and I don't want to lose her. But I don't know how to make things right." Pastor studied them for a moment before speaking. "Healing won't happen overnight, but it starts with honesty, accountability, and a willingness to rebuild trust. Nellie, do you want to fight for this marriage?" Nellie swallowed hard, tears pooling in her eyes. "I do. But I need time. And I need him to prove that he's truly remorseful." Pastor nodded. "That's fair. I suggest marriage counseling. You'll need a neutral space where you can both express your feelings openly and work through the damage together." Clinton looked at Nellie, his voice desperate. "I'll do whatever it takes." She met his gaze. "Then we start from here." Weeks passed after Clinton's accident. Though his body healed, his mind remained restless. The haunting memory of Sandra's cold dismissal at the hospital kept replaying in his head. He couldn't understand how someone he'd grown so close to could disown him so cruelly, especially when he had nearly died. Something about it didn't add up. One afternoon, as he sat in his living room, Clinton scrolled through his messages, revisiting Sandra's last texts. Her words felt manipulative, now laced with calculated sweetness. He remembered how effortlessly she had infiltrated his life, how quickly she'd made herself indispensable. He couldn't let it go. He needed answers. He began his search online, digging into her social media accounts. He found almost nothing, a few generic photos, sparse interactions. It was odd for someone so vibrant. The deeper he looked, the more questions arose. Then, by sheer coincidence, he stumbled on a thread in an obscure online forum. Someone had shared a story eerily similar to his about a woman named Sandra who had seduced a married man and then defrauded him and vanished when he fell apart. Clinton's pulse quickened. He messaged the poster, and after some persistence, he got a response. The man, Emmanuel, agreed to meet. They met in a quiet cafe outside town. Emmanuel looked worn, a shadow of someone who had once been successful. "I should have known you'd come looking," Emmanuel said, stirring his coffee. "Sandra leaves a trail, but only if you know where to look." "What happened to you?" Clinton asked. "I lost everything. My marriage, my business, my sanity for a while. She lured me in, made me believe we had something special. But the moment I got too attached, she flipped. She blackmailed and extorted money from me. Told me to disappear, threatened me when I kept asking questions. Why?" Clinton leaned in. "What does she get from all this?" Emmanuel's eyes darkened. "Money, power, control. She preys on vulnerable men. She knows when to move in and when to vanish. And anyone who digs too deep, well, let's just say not all of them make it out." Clinton swallowed hard. "Stay away from her," Emmanuel warned. "She's more dangerous than you think." And then, that night, Clinton returned home more unsettled than ever. As he undressed, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. "You should have listened to your wife. Sandra is dangerous." His heart slammed against his chest. He tried calling, the number disconnected. Who had sent the message? Emmanuel? Someone else? Was Sandra watching him? He couldn't sleep. The walls of his house felt like they were closing in. He started locking the doors and windows obsessively. But none of that prepared him for what came next. 2 days later, Clinton was driving home from work late at night. The streets were quiet, the city asleep. As he turned into a narrow road, a car swerved in front of him, blocking his path. Before he could react, 2 masked figures yanked open his door and dragged him out. Blows rained down on him. He fought, but they were stronger. Through the chaos, he heard a woman's voice, unmistakably Sandra's. "I warned you, Clinton. You should have stayed in your lane." And then everything went black. Clinton awoke in a hospital bed, battered and broken. 2 police officers stood nearby. "You're lucky to be alive," one of them said. "We've been investigating Sandra for a while. She's been connected to a string of psychological manipulations, extortions, blackmail, even a suspected murder." Clinton stared, stunned. "We received an anonymous tip about what happened tonight. We're tracking her down." Clinton closed his eyes, the pieces falling into place. He had nearly lost everything. His wife, his dignity, his life. All because he let temptation blind him. When Nellie arrived at the hospital, he broke down in tears. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "You were right. I was blind." Nellie took his hand, her eyes filled with both pain and compassion. "You have to fight now," she said. "For us. For yourself. For everything you almost lost." Clinton nodded. He would fight. And he would never be blind again. Weeks later, Sandra was arrested after trying to flee the country. She was charged with multiple counts of fraud and assault. Clinton and Nellie, now attending counseling regularly, were slowly mending their relationship. One evening, As they sat together, Clinton squeezed Nellie's hand. "Nellie, I'm sorry for everything that happened. I was lost, but I found my way back. And I'll never take you for granted again." Tears glistened in her eyes. "We'll rebuild together." And this time, Clinton meant every word.